if you get bloated, if you get constipated, that's a good thing, because that's telling you that the body needs to repair itself. So stick with it, combine it with fasting. To your point, thank you for noticing and pointing out that fasting is so powerful on the microbiome, because that's one of my passions to get to the world. I'm thinking if we take fasting and we break it with the sprouts and a longer fast, like a 24-hour fast, breaking it with the combination of sprouts you just mentioned, we have a complete microbiome repair system at that point.
Absolutely. I mean, this is something that, one of my biggest proponents is Dr. B, who wrote Fiber Fuel, right? And so he's a gastroenterologist who's, he's had sprouts in both of his books, that was a big concern, and he's on that specific level. So I'm glad you, asked Dr. Gundry about that, because, a lot of people ask that and people just don't know. And, I'm glad also, I love that you're hearing salads, because the carnivores, I love meat, right? I ate meat every day, from, the time I was weaned till I was 33 years old. I ate meat, chicken, fish every day. I ate raw meat. I ate steak tartare. I ate raw eggs. And then, this was well before I even heard about the APOB gene, right? Or LDL cholesterol. I watched, right, physically, my aunt get diabetes, and they had to chop off both of her feet below her ankles. And the misnomer is we think diabetics, diabetes is caused by sugar. No, diabetes is caused by insulin resistance. So if you're overweight, and you can get overweight by eating a variety of different things, but in particular, I remember my aunt would eat a lot of meat, right? And then a lot of processed carbs. And consequentially, she had both of her feet amputated below her ankles, and then died the same year, which is a younger age than I am right now. And so I watched that. Then I watched my uncle get heart disease and die. My mother got stomach cancer and died. And my father got heart disease and died. And my brother has developed type 2 diabetes, atrial fibrillation, became overweight, obese, and has had 3 strokes and a heart attack. So I was surrounded by these lifestyle-induced diseases. And that's when I had this consciousness of everything I'm going to feed myself is going to be high quality nutrition. I went down this path totally objectively. And it was hard for me to give up the things that I love. My mouth still waters at the smell of rosemary chicken. I still get excited when I see a medium red steak, but under no circumstances will I go there, because I'm aware of the consequences.
I would have to say, just on that lifestyle piece, that I am a big fan of meat. I think, and I love the idea of taking the best that the plant world has to offer and the best that the animal world has to offer. And how do we bring it together? I am not a fan of absolutes, but when we look at meat and we look at what's killing people, it's the hormones they're putting in the meat and the toxic part of growing an animal, killing an animal, and then eating it. We've got all those toxins that are involved in that, and that's part of the major issue. When it comes to the amino acid profile of sprouts versus meat, so I don't want to leave the meat conversation, because I feel like it's easy for us. Again, we look for absolutes in healthcare, and I'm trying to get everybody out of the absolute lane, because once we start saying plants are bad, meat's bad, we've taken bio-individuality out of the picture, and everybody's microbiome and genetics are going to tell you need different foods. So when we look at 20 grams of protein, however, let's say a cup of sprouts, and we compare that 20 grams of protein to meat, is it the same amino acid profile? Because that matters for neurotransmitter production and hormone production.
Well, it's interesting. When you're getting it from meat, right, it's theoretically all there. Meat is a complete protein. If you want to, if you're eating enough calories and you're eating enough variety of sprouts or other vegetables, you are getting a complete protein unequivocally. Like, I'm 56 years old, right? I have absolutely absolutely no protein deficiency. My blood work is pristine. And so I'm seeing the effect of doing it. But what happens is, people basically attempt to emasculate people who are eating plants. And there's this association, not with you, but there's association with eating meat. It's like masculine, liver king.
Yeah, it's really
like,
true.
right.
In the health world, it's very much like that right now.
And the reality is the consequences of, sustainable living, right? So I look at what can we do sustainably, right? What can we do to feed the world? And when we have a situation today, which is like, it's starting to bring me to tears, I'm going into my feminine right now, but we have 10,000 people a day dying of starvation. And for every calorie that's grown of plants, 10 calories are fed to animals, right? Who are living like this hellacious life. And then we have the depletion of natural resources and the like. So in a way, if we're thinking about, all people, all creatures on the planet, that's where, I'm not going to tell other people what to do, but I will say that it takes 1,500 gallons of water to prepare 1 pound of beef. And you can prepare 1 pound of sprouts with 1 gallon of water. Like, think about that math. 1,500 gallons of water versus 1 gallon of water.